The way they skate leaves passers-by awe-stricken. Watching their tricks, the question arises, why, contrary to the laws of physics, does the skateboard seem to stick to the feet of the rider when they perform a seemingly unrealistic trick? In this episode of Generation UA, you will find out about a subculture with over half a century of history and see some fantastic pirouettes performed by some of Ukraine's best skateboarders. For me, skating is a lifestyle and an atmosphere that I thoroughly enjoy. I just love riding around Kiev at night listening to cool music on my headphones. The skate family in Ukraine is the best. Skaters are people who ride on boards with wheels. Skateboarding was invented in the 1950s when California surfers wanted something to ride when the waves were flat. So they came up with the idea of attaching wheels to boards. In the late 1950s, which was actually in the early 1970s, polyurethane wheels were invented, which was a big breakthrough. The grip became much better and the popularity of skateboarding started to rise again. In the early 1970s, skateboards began assuming a more modern shape and form. Rodney Mullen was the pioneer of the first basic skateboarding tricks. As I remember, skateboarding has been around in Ukraine since the late 1990s. There are very old videos recorded on videotape camcorders. A typical Ukrainian skateboarder is an ordinary guy who started riding just because he gets a thrill from his novel favorite pastime. The most typical thing for a skater is putting on torn sneakers, because grip tape abrades sneakers when doing tricks. Skateboarding has become very popular lately. It is less of a sport and more of a lifestyle. You do not owe anything to anyone, and there is no set time for training. When you have to get up, go somewhere, and follow all the strict procedures. You just wake up whenever you want to and go wherever you want to at any time that is convenient for you. You can film yourself or just ride around the city if you don't feel like performing tricks. It all began when I was 7 to 8 years old, when I saw a video of people snowboarding, and I really wanted to try that myself. I began asking my parents to buy me a snowboard. In the end, when I was 11, I tried skateboarding. But only in the spring and summer. I realized I needed something to do in the summer. So I decided to try out skateboarding, and my father bought me a skateboard with an image of Spider-Man printed on the deck, which had no grip tape. The first year I rode alone, and then I started meeting people who told me that there were specialized shops where I could buy a decent skateboard on any outdoor market. I rode it around my house and neighborhood every day, trying to gradually get the hang of the tricks involved in riding it. Of course, since it was a cheap skateboard, which was difficult to steer, but I still wanted to ride, I rode in a straight line, then picked it up, turned and went the other way. When I was 6, I borrowed an old skateboard with metal wheels from my friend. I really wanted to learn to ride it, but it was small. It was small like this, but I took it anyway and rode on it for days on end. But then I stopped for some reason. When I remembered about it several years later, many young guys started skateboarding. I wanted to learn to ride like them. My first skateboard, I bought it on a market for 150 hryvnia, which was a lot of money back then. So me and my friends started going out to ride practically every day. We started trying to do tricks, and then we got the confidence to try doing some crazy and risky jumps. I saw guys skateboarding when I was riding a kick scooter back then at the age of 11. So, as they say, curiosity killed the cat, and I borrowed a skateboard from one of them. Tried riding it and did everything right on the first try. All the guys were shocked, and then they accepted me into their peer group, and that is how I became a skateboarder. I then watched a video called First Steps in Skateboarding, bought a skateboard and learned the tricks of the trade from that video. Currently, the two cities with the highest number of skateboarders are Kiev and Lviv. There is a school, Skate School Champions, that belongs to the Association of Skateboarding in Ukraine. You improve all the time, and you consistently get the urge and muster up the energy and bravado to perform new tricks. It is especially interesting and important to move forward if you want to get better at the art of skateboarding. For the first year, I rode alone, and the first time I just watched tutorial videos on the internet and tried to repeat what I saw on the videos outside. The first year I was learning to do an ollie, which is a simple jump. It was very difficult without grip tape. Later, when I bought a proper skateboard, I started learning how to do a kickflip. It is a flip of the skateboard 360 degrees along the axis in a jump. It took me 9 months to get it right, and I was thrilled when I finally achieved my goal, as I had been striving towards that for quite some time. After you have learned the basics, the rest is a piece of cake. You start performing more and more new tricks. Before, I was always thrilled when I managed to pull off a new trick, but now it just so happens that when I manage to do a new trick while skating, it is not as surprising or thrilling as it was in the beginning. Of course, just like anything you do in life, learning new tricks on a skateboard is much easier each time and simply comes with experience. I spent a lot of time learning to ride and jump on a skateboard that I had bought at the local market. It did not serve me for long after I started trying more complicated tricks. Then the guys and I went in search of a truly professional skateboard. We spent a lot of time searching around the city for the right one. In the end, we went to a sports store. They suggested we go to a store that specializes in skateboards. The prices there varied, and the skateboards had to be assembled. We had to buy the board, trucks, wheels and ball bearings separately. In our excitement, we saved up our lunch money to buy these new skateboards. Performing tricks is actually quite challenging. We went through many pairs of shoes and skateboards to learn some of the basic tricks. I fell a lot. I broke my hand 3 times in one place. I also have lots of grazes and bruises. But as the line from the classic film Monty Python and the Holy Grail goes, "'Tis but a flesh wound." Now I want to skate all the time, and when I manage to perform a trick after many trials, I feel the true thrill of victory. Indeed, when I've managed to perform the trick that I've been trying to do for so long, it's the best feeling I've ever felt in my life. Everyone has their own skateboarding style. Every skateboarder is an individual, and every skateboarder does tricks in their own way. There is street skateboarding, which focuses on tricks and transitions in public places. Today, many specialized skate parks are being built, especially for doing tricks on skateboards. For example, in these parks, they built vert ramps that are roughly 10 meters high. Skaters perform cool tricks on those ramps. They jump high, spin their boards, and eventually manage to pull off many other different amazing and daring tricks.
Есть лонгборды.
There are longboards, which are long skateboards or cruisers. This is a small skateboard. There are also skateboards for doing tricks like this one. Longboards are used to ride fast around the city on long slopes. They're not popular here, as our roads are bad and there actually are no genuine long slopes. There are only some uplands in Kiev suitable for riding, but there are a few longboarders here. Crimea is a haven for longboarders, thanks to the hilly terrain, which is a natural setting for this form of skateboarding.
Место, где кататься. Но одни из самых популярных соревнований.
One of the most popular competitions abroad is the Street League. This competition takes place in different places in Germany and the US. Huge plazas are built and top-end skaters gather there. I watch those competitions every year. They're held about 3 to 4 times per season, and those are generally some of the most important competitions for them. Competitions are also held here in Ukraine about once a month or every 2 months. I like participating in competitions. When I just started skateboarding, I did not take part at all for some time. I was just scared. But now, with much greater experience under my belt, I muster up the confidence and desire to give it a go in serious competitions.
Нам было 15 лет, мы выехали втроем Мы не знали, где мы будем жить.
We were 15 years old. There were 3 of us. We did not even know where we were going to live, but we went to the competitions. We spent one night in a park and found some people with whom we could spend the second night. Our third night we spent at the train station. We were very tired, but it was worth it. We rode well. We liked it a lot. To this day, we remember the thrills of victory and the agonies of defeat on that trip.
Очень понравилось, до сих пор это вспоминаю.
Skateboarding in Ukraine will continue to develop for the better because today the all-Ukrainian organization Skate Ukrainian exists. It promotes skateboarding among youth and organizes professional competitions to attract the young, daring go-getters on skateboards to participate in this cool form of modern-day sport.